Gorgeous, baby. You're gorgeous.
This is the Josh Podcast Show, the anti-podcast podcast on God and man. The show that everybody's talking about. The show that will become a necessary part of your weekly mental diet. The show that picks up where JoshRolfe.com leaves off. The show title that uses the word podcast 4 times. Introducing your host, Josh Rolfe.
Woo! Yeah, here we are. The time has come. The time has come to podcast. So I do what I must do. And if you're like me, if you're anything like me, which I suspect you are, maybe not like me at all. I don't know if you're like me. Are you like me? If you're like me, you thought pizzazz. That's right. I just said the word pizzazz. I'm going to say it again. Pizzazz. In fact, this entire episode is going to be about that one single word, pizzazz. And if you're like me, you thought pizzazz was spelled P-I-Z-Z-A-Z or P-I-Z-A-Z-Z. I was very surprised to find that it's spelled P-I-Z-Z-A-Z-Z. I fell for this word on Saturday night when it somehow came out of my mouth from literally nowhere during conversation. Once I said it, I knew I had hit a nerve, a word nerve. Those nerves are hit when you come across a really cool word, and pizzazz is exactly that. A supremely, amazingly, supremely really cool word. The more I think about it, the more I want to say pizzazz. It hasn't always been this way. From what I gather, pizzazz had its moment of fame in the 70s, followed by a slow death after 1980. It's still lingering out there. It's just more difficult to come by in spoken language, although apparently a growing number of books that are on Google Books use the word as illustrated in a diagram that you can find on the web through Google Books, through their word search. And you can see how often the word seems to have originated right around 1960, maybe 62. I can't tell. It doesn't let you zoom in to the year. But it grew slowly, and then and it just took off by like 1975, 1980. So the reason why the word pizzazz is so amazing because, well, first off, I'm saying it correctly when I say pizzazz. Emphasis is on the first syllable. The Z's in zazz are absolutely important when you say the word out loud. As you can hear, all 4 of those Z's land in just one syllable. Can you believe that there is a syllable that includes 4 Z's? That's a great trivia question. Which word has the letter Z 4 times? Or you could be even more generic, say, which word has 4 of the same consonant, a very unusual consonant, in the same syllable? 4 Z's in one syllable. Tell me when that happens. Never. There is zazzle, pizzazz's first cousin. But as you know, zazzle only has 3 Z's, Z-A-Z-Z-L-E, and it's not really clear whether the middle Z's, the 2 Z's in the middle, are split in half, as you're supposed to do when you're breaking apart syllables in a word. Pizzazz begins so unassumingly with the opening syllable pronounced P, like in the word pedestrian. It's unbelievable to me that of all words, the very unimaginative word pedestrian begins the same way as pizzazz. So it's like the accented second syllable lets out a penultimate bang as the zazz shatters any notion that the word beginning with puh would be dry, empty, and void of pizzazz. What's incredible is how the two pairs of Z's can be held for as short or as long as the pizzazz speaker wishes. The longer the Z is sounded out, the more the pizzazz. It is that simple. Not only that, but the A in the second syllable can be said with the Wisconsin eh, the Philly eh, the Southern diphthonged eh, or the British ah. Each way it's said carries with it a definition of its own, whether it's pizzazz, 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 or pizzazz. Try it, just as I have. Here is my challenge. We're in a world that likes to challenge people. A couple years ago, there was the ice challenge, the ALS challenge, where people dumped ice on themselves, filmed it, and that was a challenge. So with all of the pronunciation, all of that stuff out of the way, here is my challenge to you. This is a real challenge, unlike the fake ones. So if you're not up to it, please stop listening now and go listen to something much less interesting. I challenge you to use the word pizzazz in your very next live conversation with another human. Can you do that? You can use it as much as you want on social media, hashtag pizzazz, which will be too easy to do, but challenges aren't meant to be easy. So I will not count your use of pizzazz in social media as meeting the challenge. Instead, you absolutely must use pizzazz while talking to a live person or group standing right in front of you or sitting. Yes, conference calls are fair game. Talking to someone on the phone, not so much, but if it's a large group, like 5 people or more on a conference call, you may say it. Saying it to a telemarketer on the phone, completely not part of the game. Leave your comfort zone here. Do the right thing. Say pizzazz like you mean it. The only rules I'll issue for this challenge, other than the 10 or so I just listed, number 1, don't look up the definition of pizzazz. That is very important. Number 2, do not be pedestrian. We need some accountability here. I ask that you please share with me by ranking this podcast. Please share with me in the comments on my site where I link this, joshrolf.com, or through a comment on the podcast. That's allowed. I haven't asked for comments in a while or rankings. You can do that. I want you to share how you said the word pizzazz in your conversation. You have to give 5 stars, by the way. 4 stars or less, unacceptable. Share the reaction from the recipient in your comments. If there was any reaction, there may not be. If there's no reaction, share what you think the reaction was in the hearer's mind. I expect 0, maybe 1 comment from this entire exercise. I used pizzazz in real life on Saturday night. I will likely never use it again. It came to me while referring to my youngest son and speaking about myself in the third person to my wife. Here is my overly dramatized version of the conversation. From his mother, he inherited a broad smile that exuded charm. From his father, he inherited something that was, how do I say it in words? He inherited a quality of, it's almost impossible to say. I'm grasping for the word. It's at the tip of my tongue. I groaned slightly. unwilling to admit to her that there was no word in the English language that could possibly say what I was trying to say. I was sweeping the floor. She was organizing the spices in the cupboard. Oh, I think I have it. I think I know what to say. But I didn't know what to say. I was stumped. Words were swimming toward the drain of my mind like bathtub water heading down that whirlpool tornado vortex thingamajig. From his father he inherited, I paused, when suddenly it came to me. I stopped sweeping. He inherited, I paused for effect, pizzazz. And that's back when I thought it was spelled Pizzazz. If I ever publish anything more than my beautiful blog or this amazing podcast, I would love to use the word pizzazz in a storyline similar to the way I just did. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It's been a while. I have 24 5-star rankings, or that's the average right now, on iTunes. I would highly recommend those who are new listening that have not yet you haven't podcasted, that have not yet ranked the podcast, to go there, give me a 5-star review, say something nice. You don't even have to say anything at all. Just go in, rank it, and you'll know you made someone feel very good that day. So thanks for listening. And how do I finish with the word pizzazz other than just saying pizzazz?
Thank you for listening to the Josh Podcast Show, the anti-podcast podcast on God and man. For more information, visit joshpodcast.com. Follow Josh on Twitter at Josh Rolfe. That's Rolfe, R-O-L-P as in podcast, H. Now go and have the best day and night ever. And have fun.